The constant theme from the whole group was like, we have more in the tank. Like we need somebody. Like we need to go. Like we need some help getting to the next level, the next gear. And then obviously the transparency, which I've shared with all of them. I was like, there's gonna be days you're not gonna like me, but I promise you, you're always gonna know where you stand in our eyes. And it's not fair to let you go through a 162 game season and not know what you need to get better at.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the 11th Inning Podcast with Kolko and Zim. Dan Kolko, Ryan Zimmerman, back again after a lengthy hiatus.
Yeah, it's been a long one. I'm kind of nervous. I feel like I'm doing episode 1 again.
Starting from
I don't
scratch.
remember how we do this, what to do with my hands.
Yeah, it's all new. So I'm going to talk, and then I'm going to tee you up, and then you'll talk.
So got it. Right back to how we were doing. I just follow your lead, and you're the professional. So.
In air quotes.
Yeah.
Welcome back, everybody. It has been a little bit of a break, but we've got some exciting stuff to come on the podcast today. On our last podcast, Ryan, we had a 2-on-1 sit down with the Nationals' new president of baseball operations, Paul Taboni. And today we are recording this right ahead of the next big press conference for the Nationals this offseason to introduce their new manager, Blake Butera. And we're going to have Blake join us on the podcast as well. So a lot of big things going on with this Nats organization, and exciting to get to spend some time with these guys, get to know them, let our fans get to know them. Yeah. And so we'll bring you that interview in a little bit. But before we get to all that, just quick catch. How you been? I've seen you a handful of times over the last month and a half. Everybody good going into the holidays here?
Everyone's good. Yeah. I feel like once you get to Halloween, you blink and then it's like the first week of January.
Yeah.
Because Halloween, obviously, everyone loves Halloween. It's fun. And then it's like, then you're ready for Thanksgiving. Well, everyone forgets about Thanksgiving, which
I know
that I'm getting old because Thanksgiving is now like my favorite holiday.
Oh, it's always been mine.
You know, and it's ridiculous. You go to the mall or you go to, like, there's Christmas decorations. Mm-hmm. People just completely skip over poor Thanksgiving. That's my favorite holiday. All you do is hang with people, eat good food, have some good drinks, watch some good football. Yeah. Usually there's like a family golf outing sprinkled in there, even if it's freezing cold. But like, that's my favorite. We'll go down to my parents on Tuesday and come home Saturday. So we're down there and my brother comes. I get to see some of my good buddies from home. All of our kids hang out. It's kind of the calm before the Mariah Carey music December.
Screaming around the house.
Yeah.
That's just you though, not the kids or Heather. It's you singing the Mariah Carey around the house.
Yeah, you know, that's a good go-to karaoke song. You better be a good singer if you're picking Mariah Carey.
Big vocal range.
But anyway, yeah, it's a fun time in our house. Obviously, Halloween kicks it off and the holiday craziness has begun.
Yeah. It's a fun time of year, and as we said, some big moves for this Nationals organization. Yep. And with that in mind, Ryan, what do you got this week? What do you got this month?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we interviewed Paul. We're going to interview Blake today. And, what do I got? I got a lot of changes. And changes, I think, are uncomfortable sometimes, especially when you're changing from kind of the people that we had here that, first of all, were very successful. Mm-hmm. Second of all, we're all great people and had been here for a long, long time. So I think it's always hard, that everyone always says, you rip the Band-Aid off. You just have to, if you're going to do it, you have to go for it. And I think it's exactly what Paul has done. I obviously had great relationships with a lot of the people that aren't coming back or were asked to not come back. And that's always tough, but I'm really excited about all the things that he's done. And I think, everyone's going to use the word unconventional or, these guys are so young but I think he thinks about a lot of the things. Like Paul is he thinks about things that, like, everyone's going to say, oh, he's 33 years old. Well, I mean, he's managed in the Rays organization. Mm-hmm. He's managed in the Australian League. He's managed in the Dominican League. He was the bench coach. Yeah, the bench coach for Mike Piazza and Team Italy. Yeah. So I think everyone needs to stop looking at the age and just look at the type of person and the leader that he is. And the more people that Paul has brought in, has hired, I think the main theme is leadership qualities, positive outlook, positive energy, and most importantly, like empowering people to do their job and giving them some freedom to go out and do what they're supposed to do. And with that comes responsibilities. And Paul has always said, listen, I'm going to challenge you to do things, but I'm always going to give you, the best chance to succeed. And I'm just excited to see sort of that new young energy, this new ability to go out and, hey, this is your job. You go do it. And, I don't want to say it was time for a mix up or it was time for this or it was time for that. Cause that, we were very successful and we had some really good times, but every now and then you do need a big mix up and, it's tough. You create relationships, you have good friends. I had good friends, a lot of those friends are the same people that aren't going to be back and, you wish them the best and I'm sure they'll find, success wherever they go. But, as tough as that is, I think I'm very excited, first of all, to meet a lot of these new people and just see what they do with the direction of the organization.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think both things can be true. I think that you can be sad and feel badly for people that have been here for a long time and are not going to be a part of these things going forward.
We're also a part of the success and they deserve credit. And I think a lot of them got credit for it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to go down the list of names because there's a lot of names that are no longer with us. But we're thinking of the same people, you and I, when we talk about these sorts of things. Yep. And you're around long enough, you develop personal relationships, and then you have the success to go along with that, and it kind of like amplifies it, right? It becomes the feelings become exponentially higher. But you can feel that while also feeling like nothing is permanent, nothing goes on forever, and things at times do need to change, and change can be a really healthy thing. I think even for people that maybe had something happen to them professionally that they weren't expecting or weren't hoping for, change can be a good thing that you look back on years down the road and say, it put me in a better spot, or it challenged me, or it forced me to pivot somehow, or whatever it might be. But organizationally, I think change can be a good thing. And I think when you and I have had countless conversations about some of these hires and the direction that things are going. And you've heard a word that you've expressed to me, and it's the same word that I've heard from other people around baseball in regards to a lot of these guys that have been brought in. Stud.
Yeah.
That these human beings, these baseball people, are studs. They're smart. They are talented. Yep. They are good people. And I think you combine those qualities, and it has people around here that have gotten to know some of these people, or are maybe in the process of getting to know them, very excited about the direction of this organization. And it's in-house here. It's outside of the Nats organization. Like, I've had people text me and say, some of these front office guys are really good. And you've had similar things on your end.
And I've talked to a lot of people in baseball that I know, like you said, and when organizations are upset that they're losing people, it's good for you. And one thing you said, like, smart, and a lot of people I've talked to are like, listen, these guys are some of the smartest people I've met in the game, but more importantly, they don't act like they're the smartest people in the room. So I think baseball went through, just like everything in life, baseball swings and the pendulum. And, we went crazy analytic to the point where, like, and I'm saying this as a player, like, a lot of these people who had never played the sport in their life had no idea how, had been in a clubhouse, how it works to play baseball every day, were making incredibly important decisions. And it was like the be all from this kid who went to an Ivy League school and didn't play sports plus kickball in elementary school. And nothing against that person. They were given that responsibility
that
by
person can bring value, of course.
100%. And I think what we've learned is, like, yes, that the information, the analytics are important, but you also have to consider there's human beings playing the sport. So I think we're coming back from that a little bit. And I think Paul, Blake, a lot of the people Paul brought in are the perfect hybrid of, these guys are super smart, but they also have some type of experience in sport, which is important because we play a sport. So I think we're coming back to the middle a little bit on that, and we're getting some of the best people in that hybrid class. And I'm just super excited to see how they kind of go about their business.
One more thing, too, that I'll mention. I think we've got a young organization, right, in terms of players, in terms of talent that we're talking about here. I think there's something to teaming up the young talent on the field with young talent in the front office, in the managerial role, that can be exciting for everyone involved and for fans. I think that's something that people can get behind. And, you know, with youth comes maybe some inexperience, or comes maybe a lack of some other qualities. But I think that whether it's energy, whether it's willingness to embrace some ideas, whether it's being able to relate to these guys culturally inside the dugout or inside the clubhouse, I think that there are benefits there as well. So an exciting time, a different time, certainly, but change can be good, change can be healthy. And
I think it's great. I think we're obviously excited. I think the fans should be excited. I think it'll be a good, fresh start, and people should embrace it. So that's what I got. Obviously, that was a long one, but you know, what do you got for me?
I'll be a little quicker. I just, I got momentum in the sport of baseball.
Yeah.
Coming out of a playoffs and a World Series that was so incredibly entertaining. Yeah. And I'll say this coming from a little bit of a different perspective. I wasn't able to watch the World Series every single game. I was in Japan for a couple weeks, 13-hour time difference, but...
well, just set your alarm, man.
Yeah.
Everyone was up watching Shohei anyway. You should have. I'm sure there was parties, places.
Yes. Allie and I went to a bar at 10 in the morning to watch Game 5 of the World Series.
That sounds actually really fun.
It really was. And they were, I mean...
Do they like Shohei Ohtani over there? I don't know.
I don't think they're aware of him.
That guy is Elvis.
Every single company in Japan, I'm convinced, sponsors Shohei. Yeah. We got off the plane in Haneda Airport. His face was the first that we saw on a Hugo Boss advertisement. We got onto the plane at the end of the trip, and it was the last face that we saw as we were boarding on a different company's advertisement. He's everywhere. He's on soda machines. It's crazy. But him, Yamamoto, Sasaki. Yeah, they were all in on the Dodgers over there, and there were people watching on the trains and all that. Yeah. But just broadly, I think people are loving baseball right now, and it's just an exciting thing to be around. And I hope that this is something that the sport can continue to build upon and to grow. Obviously, coming out of the next season, the expiration of the CBA is looming, and we don't have to get into all of that. But it was so exciting to watch, and that Game 7 was incredible. The 18-inning game that preceded it in the World Series, and our boy Max in there starting 2 games in the World Series, making some big appearances, starting Game 7 at 41 years old and being a madman like we know that he is. It was just really cool. And again, I hope that this is something that can be built upon, and that this momentum can continue.
And I think the changes that have been made, although a lot of people were kind of hesitant about them at the beginning, have made a huge difference, and the numbers show it. I mean, baseball is the most highly rated it's been in decades. And, 6 or 7 years ago, we were in a interesting spot in baseball, and now we're shooting up. And like you said, we could talk about this on a different one, but like we have so much positive momentum. You're talking about maybe adding 2 teams. You're talking about like really cool, fun stuff. Yeah. Playoff, restructure, put like things that our fans are excited about. So not figuring whatever this is out by the end of next year, I think would be awful for the sport of baseball. And we can talk about that at another time, but I think what you said is correct. Like, baseball is finally kind of cool again. It went through a tough stretch. Great young players. The speed of the game is up. I think the pendulum is swinging back to like putting the ball in play, stealing bases, playing defense, not just hitting a homer, walking, or striking out.
Yeah. The number of plays at the plate in that World Series alone, like it's exciting stuff.
The game is getting back to where it needs to be. So hopefully we can keep that positive momentum going. But yeah, 7-game World Series, extra innings twice, just a truly exciting World Series, which sometimes doesn't happen. So fun to watch. Great time to be a baseball fan.
You and I talked about this when we went to the Commanders game, but the ratings compared to in Game 7 of the World Series this year compared to the Game 7 in the NBA Finals, baseball dwarfed the NBA. And, there might be people out there that want to parse that and say that the Dodgers internationally, or that, the Dodgers are a factor in that, or that, I don't know. But regardless, there were a lot of eyeballs on the sport at its highest level. The players delivered in terms of level of performance. And yeah, it was just cool. And Max being Max.
Max just doing Max things.
Yep. Awesome. All right. Stay with us here on the 11th Inning Podcast. When we come back, we will welcome in the new manager of your Washington Nationals, Blake Butera. Welcome back to the 11th Inning Podcast with Kolko and Zim. Dan Kolko, Ryan Zimmerman, joined now by the Nationals' newest manager, the 8th manager in Washington Nationals team history, Blake Butera. Blake, welcome. Congratulations, and welcome to DC and Nationals Park.
Thank you. Excited to be here. Appreciate it, guys.
So, a lot's been going on in your life the last few weeks, man. You have your first child. Congratulations on that.
Thanks.
Days before the deal got signed? Take us through the...
Yeah. It was funny. It was, I think it was that day or that afternoon, we were talking on the phone.
We were.
And my wife, she was a couple days past the due date. So she's on the list to get induced. And the hospital finally called when I was on the phone with Zim, and my wife's like, "Hey, we gotta go to the hospital." And I'm like, "Wait, I'm on the phone. Hang on."
It's Ryan Zimmerman.
But it's funny. He's like, "I think we have a room." So I was like, "Okay, go. See you later."
Yeah.
But that's awesome. It seems like everything went well, and like Dan said, quite the day for you there.
It was quite the day. Best day of our life. Daughter, and obviously the job, and everyone's healthy and doing well, and couldn't have asked for a better day.
So you've accomplished a lot in your baseball career in a relatively short time span. You're 33 years old. If I had told you a couple years ago that you would be sitting here today getting ready to be introduced as a major league manager, do you think you would have believed that, or has this, rise maybe even surprised you a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be naive to say that I expected to be in this position by any means at this age. Like, I just, I enjoyed what I was doing. I just felt like I put my head down and got to work and kind of let the rest take care of itself, and didn't really have a timeline of when I expected to get here, or if I ever expected to get here, but just fortunate to be here when I am and ready to get to work.
I think everyone focuses on age, and it doesn't matter if you're 33, 43, whatever. Like you said, he's done a lot. You managed in the Rays organization. You've managed in Australia. You've managed in the Dominican. You were Mike Piazza's bench coach for the World Baseball Classic. So, I think so many people focus on, he's so young. This guy's done a lot. And there's no prerequisite to be man. I mean, Alex Cora, Aaron Boone,
Kurt Suzuki, Craig Stammen.
Yeah, I mean, they were on Baseball Tonight or doing TV and just got
guys
plucked to do the Yankees and the Red Sox managers. So I don't really think it matters how old you are or what you've done. It's more, can you lead men on a day-to-day basis? And, what he's done, I mean, when you did manage for Tampa, I don't know, did pretty good. So I don't think it really matters what you've done or what age you are. It's more, are you ready to do the day-to-day duties and be a leader? And managing is so much about leading personalities now. And, he can obviously talk about it, but it's the team that works together to create lineups, to create rosters, to give those guys the best chance to win. And then he's just going to make sure that the guys are happy, play hard, and do the right thing. So I just hope people don't focus on age and experience and all this. And it's just a matter of being able to lead and being able to be the same guy every day. And I've only talked to him a little bit before his kid was born, but yeah, I mean, he seems like a person that you thrive in those situations. Like, you like being around people, you like to to lead, but more importantly, to just empower those people to do it on their own, I guess is the best way to put it. I don't know. Talk about what you learned in the Rays organization. I mean, you managed, but then you did player development. You've kind of done a whole, kind of like Paul, you've done a lot of different things in a short time in baseball.
Yeah, for sure. No, I think you nailed it. I think a big part of managing, especially today, is managing personalities. Getting the most out of every person in the building. Players, staff members. I think everybody loves to talk about the X's and O's during the game, but that's such a small portion of what it is when you're playing 162 games plus spring training plus the postseason. And I'm extremely fortunate to be in an organization like the Rays where they've put a lot on my plate at a young age and also supported the heck out of me and helped me kind of learn and grow along the way. And they weren't afraid to say, hey, go get them, and kind of learn as you go and make mistakes and learn from those mistakes and just continue to build off of that.
So as Ryan mentioned, you had the managerial experience in the Rays system. The last couple of years, though, you did move over to the player development side. What did you learn in those couple years, and how do you think that experience positions you to be in this role now and maybe attack this role a little bit differently than some managers might?
Yeah, I think there were a ton of things that I learned in that role. I will say that was by far the hardest job I'd had.
Why?
There's a lot of people, right, in an organization.
Yeah.
You're talking about 100-plus staff members of all ages, backgrounds, history, and then obviously 180 players stateside, plus the
Dominican.
85 more in Dominican Academy. And you're overseeing all of that, right? And then you're also in constant communication with our front office, with Eric and the rest of the group, and learning how we're navigating trades and free agent discussions and waiver claims and things like that to understand kind of how the whole infrastructure comes together in terms of building a team, building an organization, building a staff from the ground up. I think just getting that perspective was something where, you manage, you're overseeing your own club for a year, but then when you're in the position I was in the last couple of years, fortunately, I was able to kind of get the global view of how everything comes together.
So you think now in a managerial role, you'll obviously be working very closely with Paul and with his assistants in terms of roster construction and pickups and things like that, options. You feel like that kind of opened, maybe not opened your eyes, but gave you experience in that sort of overall cohesiveness that is required within an organization? Yeah,
100%. I think just to get a glimpse of what it looks like and how all the things that go on behind the scenes work helps a lot, but also in the position I was in the last couple of years, like there's a lot of tough conversations you have to have with players of all history and ages. And, a big part of it is, you're talking to guys that are experienced players that have a lot of time in the big leagues that are in AAA now, right? And you're trying to tell them like, hey, this is what your future looks like here, and kind of lay things out for them. And sometimes they don't like to hear it. But at the end of the day, as long as you're transparent with these guys and you make sure they understand where they are in your eyes, I think that's all that they want and they ask for. So having some understanding of how to navigate those conversations and have those tough conversations is something that we sometimes overlook as well.
I think at the end of the day, grown-ups appreciate honesty. It might be tough, but I always said, like, at the end of my career when I wasn't playing every day, I appreciated them saying, hey, man, like, you can do this or you can kind of go home. And nobody wants to hear that. But then the last couple of years, I had some of the best times of my life because I knew what my role was. People were honest with me and the communication was good. And I think, you being in that role, I think taught you, like you said, those hard conversations, but how important communication and transparency is. And with the roster you're about to have, there's some young guys and Paul said this the other day, I forget where he was talking, but he was like, we're really excited about the young guys that we have. And you have a guy like James Wood who's done some stuff, CJ Abrams. And he goes, the thing that I want to tell them is like, they're just scratching the surface.
More there.
And, you need to get them to that next level even. And I think having someone like Blake who's done all that and had those conversations, like these guys want someone to push them. And, another thing you said about the Rays is they weren't afraid to say, hey, go get them. And they put some big decisions, some big responsibilities on your plate. But you also said that empowered you and put you in a spot to succeed. And, I think with our roster, like, hey, let's put some expectations on these kids now. Like, hey, you've had, for James, he struggled a little bit in the second half, but had a great first half. Like, hey, this year, let's try and be more consistent. Let's, your job as a manager and Paul's job as GM or president, whatever you want to say, is get the best out of every player that you have. And sometimes that involves maybe putting them in an uncomfortable position, not being afraid to have that conversation with them. So I think his role, obviously the manager role in Tampa, but this other role might be more beneficial than people think, and having those tough conversations and trying to get the most out of every player on the roster, whether it's James or CJ or Dylan, or maybe a guy that goes up and down from AAA, being able to talk to each individual person about their role in getting the most out of them. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be hard, and I think he's ready to rock, man.
When it comes to those conversations, do you feel like you've developed a style and approach to relating to people, regardless of what their background might be or their experience in the game might be? Like, how do you go into those sort of conversations?
Yeah, I mean, first off, I think you have to have some empathy, right? Like, it's not easy. There's a lot of pressures outside of the clubhouse for a lot of these guys, whether it be families or agents or friends. Like, from the outside, it looks really easy to play this game. And Zim, as you know, it's not.
It looks super easy on TV.
Yeah. So I think having some empathy and understanding, like, hey, this is not easy, man. Like, what you're doing right now is really hard.
Yeah.
And then being transparent and honest. Like, I think regardless of age or experience in the game, like, players at the end of the day want to know the truth. So, yeah, I think to your point, being in that role and having a lot of those conversations, they were tough at the time. And some players didn't like hearing some things that were told to them at the time. But the amount of times they came back a couple of days later and said that they appreciated it, and no one's ever, been that honest with them. Like, I think that's all they can ask for.
And that's probably how you build the relationship to where it can only grow from there, right? Is maybe it's a tough thing to say or to receive on the player's side of it, but then the realization that it was for your betterment, and you did come out better on the other side of it, and it maybe gave you an opportunity to tap into something that you weren't previously, and that realization on the player's side, then I can go to this manager and I can
talk to him.
Yeah,
know that he's going to tell you the truth. It's more respectful to do that than let someone just kind of float, because you only have one chance really in baseball. I mean, every now and then you get a second chance, but like he was saying, these people have families. Your career window, if you're lucky, it's 5 to 10 years maybe. I mean, most people it's 2 to 4 years. So having someone like him that's willing to be like, hey, this is gonna be a tough conversation, but we see you as this. Unless you start doing this, we're gonna maybe have to move in a different direction. By telling the person that, they have a chance to now adjust and now maybe make a better career for themselves, where if someone would have not told them that, they would have kept doing the same stuff for 2 more months and then been released or something like that. So I just, transparency, honesty, and I think challenging players. And, I think our roster is looking for that.
Yeah, and to that point, I've been overwhelmed the last few weeks just getting to talk to a lot of these guys. Like, the self-evaluation is unbelievable.
Really? Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, I mean, having the conversation with James, where you touched on the second half not being as strong. That's what he brought up right away. He's like, I need to be a lot better next year. And I'm like, there's a lot of kids out there at your age that would love to have the season you had in 2025, right?
Yep.
And then, talking to Daylen Lile, right away when I asked him what he wants to work on this offseason, he went straight to his defense. Yeah, and he's like, there's no way that somebody with my athleticism should be a poor defender. And I'm like, everyone wants to talk about hitting.
Yeah.
No one wants to talk about defense. And he's like, no, it's got to be defense. Just some of those things. And then the constant theme from the whole group was we have more in the tank. We need somebody, we need to go. We need some help getting to the next level, the next gear. And then obviously the transparency, which I've shared with all of them. I was like, there's going to be days where you're not going to like me, but I promise you're always going to know where you stand in our eyes. And it's not fair to let you go through a 162-game season and not know what you need to get better at.
I think one thing that fans might be interested in is in the off season, when you are reaching out to these guys and having these types of conversations, what does that look like from your end? How closely are you monitoring them? Are you checking in on them? Are you getting reports on them? How does all that go, especially as you're trying to, learn these human beings and learn their skill sets?
Yeah, I think there's a lot going on right now. I think this is a different offseason than hopefully the next couple of years in terms of
hirings.
Building out a staff, and then also just trying to get to know everybody, right? And our strength coach, our trainers have done a tremendous job of getting reports on all these guys, where they're at physically, where they're at, just where they are in their offseason health-wise and what they're currently working on, and then touching base with them just to want to introduce myself, kind of ask them, what's important to you as we're going into this together. And then letting them know we're going to follow up again after, a lot of the dust settles and we kind of get our feet underneath us.
To that end, you have made some hires to your coaching staff already. You have a new pitching coach who's got some DC roots in his past, pitched at Georgetown. You've got a new catching coordinator. Take us through some of these hires that you've made to this point already and what you like about these guys as human beings and as baseball men.
Yeah, I think Paul's kind of laid things out from the jump of like, hey, we're making sure we're aligned and we're bringing in the right people first. And that's kind of how we've built out the staff so far, is we want to bring in people that, one, want to work, that are good people. And, what I've told each of them as we've gone through the interview processes with countless conversations with different candidates is like, look, we're going to be together for 162 games, plus spring training, plus hopefully a playoff push. Like, we're going to be spending a lot more time together than we are with our families. Mm-hmm. Like, this needs to be a group that loves coming to work every day and loves being around each other. Because at the end of the day, if you don't like showing up to work with who you're going to work with, like, I don't know how you get a good product out there. So want to make sure we're all aligned as a group. We enjoy being around each other. We can mess with each other. We can have fun with it. Players feed off that as well. And first and foremost, like, we got to make sure we have a group that is in it for the right reasons.
I love it. Yeah, I think we talked about before you came on, like maybe having some veteran leadership in the clubhouse. And, I think, we've been here for a long time, a lot of other people in this, and, the change is hard sometimes, but change is also necessary sometimes. And I think a lot of people right now are excited because it's completely different than it was before. And that's a good thing. We did great things for the past 10 to 15 years, and, all good things come to an end. And to see kind of the youth, I'm trying to think of the right word, like just the energy and the excitement and the accountability, and like the word empowering everyone is, challenging them, but empowering them, putting a lot on someone's plate, but also making sure you give them the tools to actually be successful. It's one thing to tell someone like, hey, I need you to do this. But then if you don't give them the resources or the tools to do it, like, how do you expect them to be successful? So listening to you and Paul talk about like, hey, we're going to challenge these guys, but we're also going to do everything in our power to put them in a spot to succeed. Like, I don't know, it's exciting to me. And I think for the roster that we have right now, I think they're kind of yearning for that. They want more responsibility. Like you said, you talk to them on the phone, they're like, yeah, I need to be better. I need to do the, like, and you're like, holy cow, this guy wants to do all this stuff. Like, so I'm just excited to see it go. And I'm excited to see it at spring training. I feel like you probably already started making like spring training stuff. And what do you, like, day one of spring training, have you thought about what you're going to say in like the meeting?
To be honest, not yet.
Yeah. I feel like you kind of just, like, the messages that we've talked about, like, I love everything I'm hearing. Like, I hope the fans get to hear more, like, obviously the press conference and all that today. And I just think our fan base is going to be so happy with the way he handles himself, the way he speaks, the way he empowers the players. So I just couldn't be happier for him and everything that's happening in the organization. It's going to be fun to watch.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Did you always want to coach, to manage? Like, when you were growing up, I'm sure you had designs on playing professionally, and you got drafted by the Rays out of Boston College. Like, when did this path of your baseball life that became realized, when did that start to form for you?
Yeah, it's probably like halfway through my college career. at BC. My college coach, Mike Gambino, he's at Penn State now. I think it was like my sophomore or junior year. He would come up to me during practice and be like, "Hey, when you're a coach, like, how would you handle this or how would you handle that?" And
so he would just tell you.
He did it a few times, and I think it was after like 3 or 4 times I told him, like, I'm going to play in the big leagues for like 15 years. Like, what do you mean when you coach? Yeah, and then, he just kind of laugh. And then, I was lucky enough to get drafted. And then, like, my second year playing, I'm looking around and I'm like, all right, these guys are like 5 years younger than me and they're a whole lot better than I am. So then I think just like talking to some of those guys and seeing them have some success based off of like just kind of trying to guide them along the way when I realized how much older I was than everyone else, made me realize like, wow, I have more fun like seeing them have success than my own. Like, so it's probably time to turn the page.
He's talked about that at the end of his playing career, how, he was discussing a couple minutes ago, like the last year or so when he moved into a part-time role. Ryan's talked about how like you give a tip to somebody in the cage and they go out there and they get a pinch hit or they deliver in a big spot, how that gave him at that stage of his career more gratification, satisfaction than himself getting a hit was. Like, how do you describe the joy that these roles have given you personally over the last few years and now with this one might going forward?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to describe and it's hard to explain, but just seeing professionally and personally, like the conversations you have with players that are going through a lot on the field or away from the field, and then, just the vulnerabilities when they open up to you and you can just kind of feel the headway you're making with them, whether it's how they perform on the field or just being at home and feeling better about themselves. Like that's the fun part, right? When you're with them for a long season and you kind of ride the highs and lows together, and then you see a guy really go through it during a year, which is going to happen to everybody, and then you see them kind of come out of it. Like that's the most fun and gratifying part by far.
Well, I think it helps that you played, like you said, and you grind it out, and like you just said, like nobody's going to go through a season without struggles, and to be able to create an environment where honesty, you can go talk about it, you can, managers always say, "Hey, my door's always open," or this, like, which some managers say that, and you're like, yeah, the door's
all right, guy.
The door's open, but I don't really feel like walking through that door, like something like that. Like you have to almost make it a feeling of like, hey, I'm one of you, but also like you guys have the club. It's an interesting dynamic that happens in the big leagues, because as a manager, and obviously I'm not a manager, but I've had a lot of managers. The best managers that I ever had were the ones that were like, hey, my door's open, and you kind of felt like the manager was one of you, but there was also separation, because you have to empower the players. The players, it has to be their team, and you have to give them the power to do that. But also it's like this weird relationship where they also have to have the ability to feel comfortable enough to come to you and be like, hey, I'm, like he said, maybe I'm having something off the field, or like professional sports, it's tough to like talk about that stuff. You're supposed to be like this big tough guy, and like a lot of times if you just have a conversation about something maybe off the field, it then frees you up to go play. Or like, hey man, I was going through that, and like sometimes it's like a 5-minute conversation over breakfast, and then that could do it. So just like you said, the ability to relate with players, the ability to have honest conversations, and I think most importantly, just gain their trust. And the only way to do that is to, like you said, this whole interview, communicate, be honest, be transparent, and make them the best players that they can possibly be.
On the field, what sort of identity do you want the Washington Nationals to have under your stewardship? I just wanted to say the word stewardship.
Yeah. I think first and foremost, like, we need to be fundamentally sound. The biggest thing for me is like control the controllables, right? Like, we're going to play hard. We're going to do the little things right. Are we going to win every game? No. But if we can control the things that we can control, running a hard 90, touching the base the right way, putting tag down the right way, showing up to stretch on time, like all those small things, I think that kind of, when you do that day after day after day, it kind of leads to long-term success, at least in my opinion. I want these guys to play hard. I want them to play clean and play the game the right way. And win or lose, like, if they can go out there and play hard and do the best they can possibly do every night, like whatever happens. We can live with that.
You've got some athletes on this team. You've got some kids that can run, that can go first to third. Do you see yourself, like, do you see this team as being aggressive, as like fighting for extra 90s, that sort of a thing?
Yeah, 100%. Like first to third's huge. I think there's a lot of guys on this team that there's some low-hanging fruit there, base running wise, with stealing some extra bases. It's funny because you come from a player development background where, as you know, coming up, like you want to take some chances and learn how to steal bases and get thrown out and learn how to try. But we're in the big leagues, like you got to win, you know. So there's definitely a balance there of like we're going to be aggressive, we're going to be smart, and I think we're going to make some mistakes. But the biggest thing is that we don't make the same mistake more than once. I think when a guy goes first to third and he gets thrown out, like we'll look at it and understand kind of why and what happened and make sure that process is in place. And then hopefully that same situation is going to come up 2 weeks later. We make the adjustment, we learn from it.
Well, sometimes it's okay to get thrown out first to third. I mean, we always talk about the scoreboard tells you what to do and just baseball IQ and teaching these kids when to take a chance and when not to take a chance. The decision to take the chance or not take the chance should be decided on basically before the ball is hit. And if he can teach these kids to learn that, and sometimes it's okay to take a chance. And if you get thrown out, whatever, the game, like you didn't really influence the game too much either way. Now, if you're down,
six,
whatever. There's easy times and then there's hard times. But I think most importantly, like he said, he wants the team identity to be aggressive. And when I played against a team, when I played third base, or and you knew every single person was going to run every ball out, or if you played outfield and you knew every single person was going to try and take that extra base. If your team has that mentality or has that reputation, like when you have your team meetings, you're like, hey, this team's going to do this, and like that can make a difference in 4 or 5 wins a year. And then all of a sudden you win 3 or 4 extra games just because you didn't do anything better. The other team is just so worried about it.
Make a mistake that way, or
so you have to earn that respect. You can't just do it for a week. You can't just do it for a month. You got to do it every single day. And like he's talking about, the accountability, being on time for stretch, doing little things right, creates long-term success. But I would argue it also creates culture and basically chemistry and what you want your organization to be. So when we start trading for guys or when we start signing free agents, you have your core group of guys, whoever that ends up being, that you either come in and you join it, or it's kind of, I always use the Patriots and Bill Belichick, with people hate, but like nobody was bigger than the team. You could be a superstar, but if you didn't want to do how we do it, then you're not going to win that way. So, I think it's exciting to hear, and I'm excited to watch these young kids get to be with him, because, we talked about this, and I feel like I always say this, but like I love Davey, I love Miggy, I love, like, they're great baseball people, but like I'm really excited to see this group of young players get to be with him and Paul and everyone else you guys are bringing in, because I really think they're going to love it. And I just want to sit back and watch the magic happen.
Yeah, Ryan and I will be down in West Palm. We'll just be hanging in the dugout, and we'll watch it work, and we'll fire it up for that.
Yeah, we'll kind of watch and talk about it and watch the magic happen.
Yeah. Sounds great.
You want to do rapid fires?
Sure, I guess.
You got anything else?
No, I think we're good.
Okay.
He's a busy man.
Busy day. So every guest that we have on the 11th Inning Podcast, Blake, we wrap up the interview with some rapid fire questions. When Ryan played, he hit 11 walk-off home runs. Okay. So he developed the nickname Mr. Walk-Off.
Okay.
So we ask 5 rapid fire questions, or 5 walk-off questions from Mr. Walk-Off.
This is going to be the hardest part of the day.
It's from my leather-bound book that I actually still write in. It's kind of like we were talking about. I write actual checks still, All right, you ready? So the first question and the last question are always the same for every guest we've had. So those are pretty easy. And the ones in the middle, I'll mix it up a little bit. But first one, Like the motto you live your life by, like day to day. Is there a slogan? Is there a piece of advice that you've gotten over the years that you always come back to, I guess?
I mean, this one's, I don't know if you're going to love this one, but it's treat people the way you want to be treated.
That's what my parents told me and my brother. So that's pretty cool.
Yep.
Simple.
Simple. Yeah. Simple. But I think at the end of the day, it kind of lines up with how you should behave as a human and a friend and a teammate and a husband and you name it, right?
Yep.
Love it.
Good start.
My parents would love that. Is it harder to manage a newborn, or do you think it'll be harder to manage 26 grown-up children?
Oh, I thought you were going to name a specific player right there.
No. First interview. Second interview, I'll throw it. Yeah.
I might say the 26 grown-up children because I don't have my wife to help me.
Yeah.
That's true.
2 for 2.
Yep.
2 for 2. What's the best thing you've learned managing all these years, or it wouldn't even be managing, even in any of the roles you've had in your career? I don't want to say it goes back to the first question of motto, but like, is there a manager or is there someone you worked under either in Tampa or Australia or Mexico, or that you've, like that day they did something you were kind of like, you've always carried it with you in your manager or player development or just any of your career so far?
I think it's really just like the positive energy. I think baseball, like everyone says, is a game of failure.
Yep.
And it's so easy to be negative because there's so many failures that happen throughout a game. And like, hitters throughout a season, you get 3 hits out of 10 at bats, like you're looking pretty good. And there's a lot of failure. I think just bringing positive energy and confidence and like make players feel good. Like it's 162 games. It's a hard season. It's a hard game. Like positive energy.
That goes for things beyond baseball too, right? Like you get back from a road trip at 4 or 5 in the morning. Like it's easy to be salty about that. Or like there's a delay on the tarmac or like something goes wrong. Like you're away from your family, whatever it is. Like I think that just eliminating the negative thoughts and focusing on the positive probably helps across the board.
Yeah, we're playing baseball.
Yeah.
Like, things could be worse.
And you're in the big leagues.
Right.
And it's hard to say positive sometimes, but I think too, like you get in late, you have plane trouble, something like that. Like, hey, it's going to be a tough one today. Like, let's go out and let's be positive and let's use it as like, hey, nobody thinks we have a chance today because of this. Like, so
yeah,
positive energy, huge.
Love that.
All right. A lot of good restaurants in DC. What's your favorite type of food?
So I can go 2 directions, either chicken parm or a good steak.
All right.
We've got some really good Italian in DC.
Yeah, so you could go
really
good Italian restaurant that has good chicken parm, which also has steak.
Yeah, I got a few in mind.
All right, so Italian or like a good steakhouse.
Yeah. I'm a bit of a foodie. I love good restaurants. Anytime I go to a new city, I want to find a good coffee shop or a good restaurant. Like that's a go-to.
Love it. All right.
Last question. Go-to karaoke song.
Probably Don't Stop Believing by Journey.
Okay.
Positive energy.
Yeah. That's right. That all ties in.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Now, that's probably got to be more towards the end of the night, right? Like, people are a little lubed up at that point.
Yeah, have to be.
Yeah.
That's after the chicken parm, bottle of wine,
yes.
change in venue.
Yes.
You were about to go home, but then went to a different place. And now we're to Don't Stop Believing.
Yeah, to cap off the night.
Yeah.
It happens sometimes.
Yeah, once or twice.
It's okay.
Blake, thanks for joining us. Congratulations on a really exciting opportunity and really happy for you, for your growing family. And thanks for taking a little bit of time out of your busy day to sit with us.
No, thanks, guys. This is fun. Let's do it more often.
Yeah, man. Looking forward to it.
Yeah,
Same here.
You're going to have chats like these about, 320 times a year with the local media. So
if we can find a good restaurant to do it over, I'm all for it.
Okay. All right. There we go. Blake Butera, the Nationals' newest manager, here with us on the 11th Inning Podcast with Kolko and Zim. Welcome back to the 11th Inning Podcast. Awesome conversation with Blake Butera. Great getting to sit down with him, and hope you guys enjoyed some time with the Nats' new skipper. Zim, couple fan questions here. Keep them coming out there. I know we're only doing podcasts once a month now, but let's go. Let's get these questions rolling in.
Yeah, it's not baseball season, so maybe be a little bit more creative.
Yeah, I like that.
It doesn't have to be about baseball. It can be about NFL. It can be about
life.
It can. Yeah, it doesn't have to be about baseball. Baseball is encouraged and that stuff is encouraged, but me and Dan actually do like talking about other stuff besides baseball.
That we do. You can ask me more updates on my fruit aversion. You can ask Zim to pick which of his 4 children is his favorite. Really, anything you want.
Easy questions.
Easy stuff. All right, let's get to one from Sean McNamara here. Oh, by the way, the email. Zim, what's the email?
Oh boy, it's been a long time. I have 11th inning at nationals.com.
Yeah, yes. There we go. He got it. Put him on the spot and he delivered. 11th inning at nationals.com. Send in those questions. This one from Sean Mac. Oh no, he's appreciating the fact that his last one I got his name right. McManama. Sean McManama. First of all, thank you for the super detailed response to the last question. Was able to show the clip to the younger players I work with and they loved it. My family, however, was more pumped about Dan getting our last name correct than anything. So you're welcome, Sean. Sean says, obviously the team has a lot of young talent, but some spots that need to be filled. What additions do you think will be key to make going into next year to hopefully start being competitive again and continue the development of the younger players? Ryan, where do you think the most important areas to target are for this Nationals team?
Yeah, well, I think you wait and see what kind of happens. The next month or so is really where everything sort of shakes out, whether you trade people or you DFA people or you maybe move some people on and off of the 40-man. But, I mean, they already have that in mind. It's just not public knowledge, I guess. I think the next couple of weeks is when a lot of that really shakes out, and then you'll kind of see sort of what the plan is for the off season. So I don't know if I want to really get into like the actual positions, but my thought is we need a couple veteran guys, some leadership presence, not on a 1-year deal. And I always say it's super easy for me to spend other people's money.
Yep.
So,
it's fun.
I'll sit here from this chair and say what we should do when I don't have to do anything about it. But, I think, in my opinion, it's unfair to ask James Wood or Dylan Cruz or Daylen Lile or, insert young, really good player name here to be relied upon as a leader in the clubhouse. And I'm not saying they won't be leaders, but, James, Dylan, Daylen, Brady, all these guys are just really trying to figure out how to be consistent big league players.
How to stay.
And that's hard enough. Mm-hmm. It's also way harder to put on top of that, like, hey, if we're going through a rough stretch, maybe call a team meeting or, they shouldn't have to do that stuff. And, not saying we haven't had veterans in the past. And I think Trevor Williams did a really good job a couple years ago. Obviously got hurt last year, but he was still around, and those guys matter. But it's also different to have a guy on a 1-year deal where, like, hey, if we play good, you'll be here. If not, you're probably going to get traded. Also, that type of player is a good major league player, but they're still worried about their own career. So at the same time, if they're not going to be here for more than half a year or a year, are they really going to take the time to mentor James and Dylan and Mackenzie Gore and, all these young pitchers that we have that need mentorship? Like, they have to worry about their own career. So getting a couple veteran guys, position players and pitchers, whatever that mix is, that are here 2, 3, 4 years. And I'm not saying you have to go out and go crazy and get the top of the list free agency, although that would be cool too. Just someone that they know they're going to be here and they come on board, knowing that, hey, you're going to be a really good player for us, but also you're basically going to be a mentor, for lack of a better word, a babysitter. You are going to show these guys how to be big leaguers, and you're going to take some pressure off of them. They can just go play. You handle the media. You handle the tough questions. You make sure we have team dinners. You make sure when we have a day off on the road, people are hanging out together, not in their hotel rooms all day.
Or if somebody isn't doing something that they're supposed to be doing, you're the one who calls them on it.
And more importantly, you teach them to call other people on it, and you create a culture of accountability where it's okay to go up to someone and say, hey man, we're going to need you to run that out. And that person, more importantly, doesn't snap back at you. They say, you know what, you're right. Thank you for telling me that. So those little things make a big difference. And, you know, if you have a day off and the Caps are in town, you get a suite for the team.
Yeah.
And so I know that doesn't answer what part of the roster we need, but I think we just need some veteran leadership to make these young guys take the stress of that leadership role off of them.
Yeah.
And just let them develop and become big leaguers.
And obviously I didn't play. I'm not trying to speak as if I did, but I'll just add a little bit to that. We all love Josh Bell, and Josh Bell did a great job this year. But I think an added little factor to consider is not only are guys that are on one-year deals maybe focused on themselves and their numbers and extending their career or whatever it might be, but also they might feel an uncertainty or an unwillingness, I should say, to be the vocal guy when they're not going to be here for a long period of time. There's some... that might create some uncomfortable sort of feelings for a veteran guy who maybe does want to say something, but doesn't have the stature inside this clubhouse and the seniority inside this clubhouse to do that. And it's the same reason why teams try and avoid like lame duck managers. If a guy is only going to be around for a year, you know, do we really need to buy into everything that he's telling us, even the tough stuff? I think that might be a small factor to consider as well.
No, 100%. And I think, we do have some great young talent, and I'm not saying they couldn't develop without this, but I think it helps the process if you have 3 or 4 real veteran guys that can help these young guys out.
I like it. Okay. One more question this week is from Kyle Lucy, who says, hey guys, big fan of the pod since day one. I'm a Nats fan from the Boston area, so I try and consume as much Nationals talk as often as I can. I became a Nats fan when my town's Little League adopted the Nationals name and I got put on that team. Then again for the Major and Babe Ruth League, it was pretty much my destiny to be a Nationals fan.
Wow,
love that.
I like it.
And like a certain someone, I started at third and then moved over to first a few years later.
All right.
You and Kyle Lucy, pretty much the same player. Kyle actually has a question for me. He says, if you could give the call to any non-baseball championship clinching moment, what sport would you choose and why?
Good question.
That's a really good question. There's something to me, and I know you love this sport too, about college basketball and the NCAA tournament that just... NFL fans are passionate about their NFL team, but there's something about the madness of March. And I think a team fighting through the gauntlet of 64, 68 teams and being the last one standing on that, huge floor with 100,000 people in a non-baseball or non-basketball arena is just really cool. And I've called some college basketball games over the last few years in the baseball off season. It's fun to do. And I just think having the call of a really exciting tournament-ending moment like that would be a really cool thing to do.
Especially if it was like a buzzer beater.
Oh, my goodness.
Or something crazy, and like a Cinderella story beating a blue blood like program. My thoughts on March Madness. It's one of, if not my favorite time of the year.
Totally.
But that would be cool. I selfishly would love for you to call like a World Cup final in Spanish. World Cup would be sick, dude.
That would be sick. Are you going to try and go to a World Cup game?
It's coming.
It is.
It's coming soon. I've never been. I would love to go over to a Premier League game.
I did that.
Yeah, I heard
that
all my
sick.
Buddies say it's like the coolest atmosphere of all time.
And then we went to a pub right across the street after, and then they're doing all the chants, and it's something else.
So soccer, growing up, everyone always kind of was like, soccer, whatever. And then Daniel Murphy was huge into soccer and started having it on TV on Saturdays when they started airing. And ever since I started watching that, first of all, that's a different kind of soccer. That's legit. It's fun to watch that soccer. But I've always wanted to go over there. So World Cup final would be a sick call.
All right. You're a broadcaster now too. Maybe we get you
have to touch up on my clubhouse Spanish before I go over there, but be good.
Awesome. Good stuff on this episode of the 11th Inning Podcast. Thank you to you guys for your questions. Please keep them coming. 11th.inning@nationals.com. Thank you to Blake Butera for joining us on this month's episode. Thank you to Wendy Bailey, our executive producer. Thank you to Olivia, to Lizzie, to everyone helping out behind the scenes, bring you this now monthly podcast in the off season. And we'll be back in another month. We're going to keep this cadence going until we get close to the start of the 2026 regular season. It'll be here before we know it.
Yeah, we'll keep you up to date. Hopefully in the next month we'll have some exciting stuff to talk about. I feel like this is when it starts to get going. You have the GM meetings and all that stuff, and usually stuff gets a little hot and heavy around then. So we'll have some good stuff to talk about. Thanks again.
Thank you, everybody. We'll catch you next month on the 11th Inning Podcast with Kolko and Zim.